Okay. Verse 7. The Lord, or Yah, has sworn by the pride of Jacob, indeed, I will never forget any of their deeds. Okay. In this particular one, it does not give us the three together. It just talks about the new moon and the Sabbath. Okay. And let's go to Ezekiel 45:17. Ezekiel 45:17. Ezekiel 45:17. And it shall be the prince's part to provide the burnt offerings, the grain offerings, and the libations. You know what libations are?
Drink.
Drink offerings.
Mine says drink.
Yeah, drink offerings. At the feasts, that's the annual. On the new moons, there's the monthly. And on the Sabbaths, there's the weekly. At the appointed feasts of the house of Israel. He shall provide sin offering, grain offering, and the burnt offering, and the peace offering, to make atonement for the house of Israel. Okay, one more. Ezekiel 46, 1 through 3. Just in the next column over. Ezekiel 46, 1 through 3. Thus says Yah, our God, the gate of the inner court, facing east, shall be shut the 6 working days. But it shall be opened on the Sabbath day, and opened on the day of the new moon. And the prince shall enter by the porch of the gate from outside and stand by the post of the gate. Then the priest shall provide his burnt offering and peace offerings, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate, and then go out. But the gate shall not be shut until the evening. The people of the land shall also worship at the doorway of that gate before Yah on the Sabbaths and on the new moons. Now there, it didn't mention the annual feasts. So, in some of these, it mentioned all three. In others, it just mentioned the Sabbath and the new moons. The reason that we point this out is to get it clear in our minds that when the Bible lists these three, it's talking about annual, monthly, and weekly worship. This is not an annual Sabbath, as the Seventh-day Adventist commentary says, and as the Seventh-day Adventist Church stands today. They misinterpret the Scripture. Samuel Bakioki, who is one of the foremost scholars in the Adventist Church, says the Sabbath in Colossians 2:16. He says, the regulations advocated by Colossian philosophy had to do not only with food and drink, but also with sacred times referred to as festival or new moon or Sabbath. Commentators agree that these three words represent a logical and progressive sequence, annual, monthly, and weekly, as well as an exhaustive enumeration of sacred times. This interpretation is validated by the occurrence of these terms in similar or reverse sequence 5 times in the Septuagint and several other times in other literature. Some view the Sabbaths as a reference to annual ceremony Sabbaths rather than the weekly Sabbath. Such a view, however, breaks the logical and progressive sequence and ignores the fact that in the Septuagint, the annual ceremonial Sabbaths are never designated simply as Sabbath, but always with the compound expression Sabbath of Sabbaths. And you can read this yourself. But the bottom line is that the Adventist Church has erred by saying this is an annual Sabbath. The Sunday people have erred in saying that this is a weekly Sabbath that has been done away with. They're correct in saying, the Sunday people, evangelicals, are correct in saying it's a weekly worship or the seventh-day Sabbath, but they are in error to say it was done away. But you see, they say it was done away because they say, in agreement with the Adventist Church, that these two were done away. When in fact, none of them were done away. And the way this scripture in Colossians 2 should read, I will read you from the Holy Names Bible. I will read you Colossians 2:16 from the Holy Names Bible. This is the best translation I have found. Let no one condemn you regarding sacrificial meal and drink offerings made on the holy days, new moons, and Sabbaths, which are a shadow of things to come, but the substance is the Messiah. Do you get that? Let me read it one more time. Let no one condemn you regarding sacrificial meal and drink offerings made on the holy days, new moons, and Sabbaths, which are a shadow of things to come, but the substance is the Messiah. You see, the food and drink was what was the shadow of Christ, not the days. It was the days that they were having the food and drink on. So he says, don't let anybody condemn you for those drink and food offerings that you're having on the holy days, new moons, and Sabbaths. See how it's been mistranslated. So, we, Creation Seventh-day Adventists, have restored the annual worship, the monthly worship, and the weekly worship to its proper place. We restore the annual worship because it's connected in Scripture with monthly and weekly worship. And there has never been anything in Scripture to indicate that it was done away. In fact, let's go to the book of Acts. And now we're going to talk to Sunday keepers and Seventh-day Adventists for a moment. Okay, we're going to talk to Sunday keepers. And we're going to prove that the Sabbath was kept by the apostles. Okay? Let's do that first. Acts 16. This is the only scripture that we can use to show without any shadow of doubt that the apostles kept the Sabbath. See, the other places where it says they went to the synagogue on the Sabbath and all these things, the Sunday keepers will just say, well, they went there to preach to the Jews. See? Yeah. They weren't really keeping the Sabbath. They were just going there to preach to the Jews. But this breaks that down. Acts 16, start with 11. Therefore, putting out to sea from Troas, we ran a straight course to Samothrace on the day following, leaving to Neapolis. And from there to Philippi, which is a leading city of the district of Macedonia, a Roman colony. And we were staying in this city for some days. And on the Sabbath day, we went outside the gate to a riverside where we were supposing that there would be a place of prayer, and we sat down and began speaking to the women who had assembled. Well, if you study the history of it, I understand that Luke was with Paul at this time. Do you know anything about the background of Luke? Doctor. What else? Was he a Jew or a Gentile? He was a Gentile. Luke was a Gentile. What about Philippi? The Philippian church, was it a Jewish church or a Gentile church? It was a Gentile church. There were no synagogues there. That's why they went out by the riverside for prayer on the Sabbath. Here's the apostle with a Gentile co-worker in a Gentile church keeping the Sabbath. Sunday keepers can't say they went to talk to the Jews.
No, not that day.
Okay, I did not write down what year that was, but somewhere I have it written down.
I have AD 53.
Okay, that's about right. Okay, about AD 53. All right, now I'm going to write write that down here to help me next time. Thank you. Now, don't you think that if Christ had done away with Sabbath worship, that by AD 53, now Christ was crucified in 31,